Oh yeah, take a good.
Mm.
Is that what we're starting on?
Oh, yeah.
Apparently. Thanks.
Yeah, Rick.
So, hour 3, Bloodletting Mountain Men. You guys are fully rested, have all of your equipment, fun shopping stream. Met a couple of people along the way, a godling that lives back in the town before. And I'm going to make like a quick little list of all the important NPCs and towns that you've been through. And I'll put that into like a thing that we can just do, which are NPCs or whatever in chat so it can pop up as like reminders for everybody. I'll put that up probably right after the stream. And then you met Malvoon, you got some equipment, and found a place where you could potentially buy magic items moving forward, but unfortunately we're not able to as of now because of this, because of like the interaction that you had with Malvoon. You start making your way the next morning. Everybody's like rested up. You're meeting together with one another, because you imagine you kind of like went your own way, did your own thing. You didn't necessarily have to talk about Malvoon yet, because you're all like, all right, we're heading out tomorrow. Cool, we'll do that. So the next day, as you guys are like meeting up again, we'll actually open up with one of you two guys telling them that you had acquired horses for them. Probably like even like, oh, let's head to the stables where we got horses, sort of a thing. So go ahead.
Yeah, so me and Bastion were able to get some good quality riding horses for us.
Oh, nice.
To be able to travel a lot easier going
Mine's
forward.
better.
How much were those?
With like gear and all that, basic riding equipment, military saddle, there would be 97 gold each, which is,
Wait, you got us a military saddle. I don't know
Yeah.
how to fight on horseback, right?
I'd like to not fall out of the horse
Well,
when I don't
that's-
want to.
That's what the saddle's for. It doesn't have to be designed for combat. No, probably best you got one, to be fair.
What does that mean?
It means he's likely to fall out.
Oh, yeah, yes. Okay, I see.
Know that he can still hear you, right?
No.
It's fucking
The
mad.
ghost hand appears again and he taps you on the shoulder.
I'm petting
Get a
my
frown.
horse.
You okay, Dallas? You seem very scared. Scared of every single time you piss off the source here. You seem to get a little jumpy.
Yeah, he's summoning that hand thing he does.
I desummon
Sources?
it. I don't see what you're talking about.
Yeah, sources can't summon hands.
I can summon giant creatures apparently.
Whoops.
He doesn't say it in character.
Well, he's been doing it for the past few weeks.
I don't think so.
Maybe
No,
seeing
no, no,
ghosts again.
Maybe it's a real ghost hand.
He's been teasing me about it, so he's been seeing it.
I am magical. I see magical things.
Is there something following him?
I give it like a serious look. Like I try to look all serious and well, some past failures most certainly, but
Oh, and let me look into your past. Oh, I see witch hunters. Oh, there you are crying.
oh yeah, you would
and then-
see the witch hunters. You stab them.
Oh, and they're more than you did, mate. Oh, and there's
Yeah, that's
there's-
because I was put in magical cuffs. And when I suggested it, everyone was like, "No, we have to be subtle. We have to go along with it."
And
As soon as I'm not there, you start stabbing and murdering them like it's a bloody sport.
Oh, and there's some crying townspeople whose lives you ruined by summoning demons into their towns. Oh, what a lovely past this is.
So you got some
Yeah.
horses?
Telebas,
Yes.
this is your horse. Do you like this horse?
Oh, yeah.
It's not mine.
Is it? What did you say? Yours? Not
No,
yours.
no, not mine.
Is it a he or a she?
You tuck your head underneath, roll any die for me. If it's odd, it is a male. If it is even, it's a
Open
female.
wide.
Roll like a D1000.
Okay, it is a female horse. Funny enough, out of all 4 horses, it is the largest of the horse. And for what's his name? Bastion. You know that because you spent some time with the horses and everything. You know that it's actually the probably the dumbest of the horse, the closest one to a plug. But it's still a riding horse, not like a draft horse or anything like that.
What's my horse? Let me check my horse.
We actually. Oh yeah, go ahead. Well, I already said it's a female.
Let's all take a
mine
look
is?
underneath.
Yeah.
I was
here.
talking about Talabasts.
Oh no, no! I thought we already established hers as a female. Yeah, because it's a.
Oh.
Because it's like
Oh, yeah.
it was like a big, strong breeding horse, but not a stallion. Because those are harder. Like having a good male breeding horse is harder than a good female breeding horse.
Okay.
So like usually after the female is done being bred for a while, like you don't just do it until they die. You eventually retire them as breeding. And so this is a good quality stock horse, but past the breeding time. So.
Good horse.
Shouldn't be too easy to pay for this all with the proceeds that we got from the last town.
Let
Right.
me,
Yeah. How much was it?
97 gold each.
90.
Good quality horses. You won't have to walk again. You won't have to have a witcher carrying you around all day either.
You think I'm embarrassed about that? I'm impressed that he managed it. And he
So-
spends the time begrudgingly counting this out.
All right. Yeah. I just toss you my coins. I count them out. Toss them over to you.
How much? 90
Okay.
what?
97.
So,
Yeah, you got mine too.
any idea where we're going for this Scoia'tael business?
North to the wood and then back east to the wood.
Well, I did meet
what
with a.
God just whispered to us.
Ah, it's the hand again.
Go to the north, to the woods.
Spelling it out with his fingers.
Yeah, right. I get we're going to go into the woods, but
Mhm.
a bunch of human-looking fellas going into the woods, we're probably
Mhm.
just as likely to get shot by the Scoia'tael on sight. You know that's what they do, right?
Yeah, that means we find him sooner.
Yes, but then they continue shooting us until they stop shooting us when we stop moving.
We'll be all right.
Oh, my horse.
We did speak with a mage of sorts yesterday. Me and Bastion. We were trying to look for those magical items, but we didn't necessarily find anything. But we were able to converse with this mage.
Mm.
I mentioned to him that we were here to meet the Scoia'tael and
You did
inform
what?
him.
Oh
Yes.
dear.
You know, it was the first friendly mage. You know, he
Yeah,
knows the predicament that I'm in.
I saw a few friendly blokes down in the tavern, and I told them the same thing as well. One with pointy ears. I told him, especially sure to tell him.
Look, he told us of a ritual that could potentially break the bind that Leonard and I have to our contract. Meaning
Yes,
that we could
Break
get
the
out
bind?
of this. Yes.
You
so
not
that we
just,
can actually backstab the witch hunters.
could you not just do that anyway? I've heard of witches betraying people who they take contracts with.
Not
Yes, and usually those
That's
witches meet a less than kind fate in the end, especially if they keep repeating it. The world ebbs and flows. Magical waves that you are not able to comprehend.
I'm just
It's
walking
like
up.
regurgitating what that guy said.
You simpletons might know it as karma.
Oh, Jesus.
You know what's funny is he's regurgitating what the guy said. Obviously, you as PCs know that. I wonder if Bastion realizes that, and
no.
Bastion's just like, wow, he knows this stuff too.
what a smart guy.
To be fair, Bastion probably spent his night with ale and a woman.
Yeah.
Or a man, you know. I don't judge.
Well, neither does Bastion.
Exactly.
Yeah, so,
So,
we're walking off. I'm walking off. You guys are taking too long.
Did he tell you how to do this ritual?
Not yet.
Doing this as you walk.
Fortunately not. He mentioned having to find the Scoia'tael first.
A ride.
Oh,
Yeah,
fantastic.
we're right.
Yes, you have to actually start the contract in order to be able to break it.
Well, in that case, can we not just break it now? It's not started yet, so it shouldn't bind you.
Did sign the contract.
We did.
Well, yeah, but I mean that mage said it's not started yet. If we can't reverse the magic, then it surely hasn't taken effect yet.
I feel like it might be worth making allies of the Scoia'tael anyway. To potentially help us with the whole witch hunter situation
Well,
if
that's
we
the
are
problem.
going to betray them.
we technically have started the contract.
Yes.
We just haven't done anything with it yet, but we're technically
Yes.
bounded by it.
There are no signs of betrayal yet, is what he mentioned. So there's no like negative magic to break.
Right.
I
Okay.
assume once we make conversation with the Scoia'tael and let them know the situation.
And get tortured for information afterwards.
Maybe we
Yes.
shouldn't mention that to the Scoia'tael. Probably will string us up.
Hmm.
Probably should like keep that one really, really quiet, because you know they'll kill me first. I'm a non-magic using human.
Yeah, I imagine you'd be easy to pick apart for them. Maybe they'd break your mind first to see how
Yeah.
bad you would squeal.
I'd probably break your neck first, though, Bran.
So you guys are going to start making your way to the north. So as I said beforehand, you want to find yourselves to the north, to actually just where the river is, and then in the attempt to look for dwarves. It's not like all dwarves live in mountains or anything like that. That's not the case at all. However, it is definitely because of the way that they tend to live their lifestyle, the way they tend to know to defend themselves, so on and so forth. They are more comfortable in mountainous regions. They have a better time of finding just like places that are easily defended, where they can set up ambushes and the like.
Yeah, well, they were like majorly persecuted in other cities, so they withdrew to the mountains.
Of course. So when you guys head to the north, and it's just a couple-hour travel, actually you're on horses now, so horses, even when they're just doing a slight little like walking, just like a little trot, so you're not like trying to move particularly quick. It only takes you just over an hour or so to get to where the actual river itself is. If you were on foot, probably would have taken 2 hours. And once you get to where the actual river itself is, once you get there, you can actually see it's not like it's empty. It's not like there's nobody about. Even in the fields, you saw various people here and there, whether they be kids kind of playing, running out there playing, or others. One of the things that probably Leonard would have noticed, because he's the most perceptive out of everybody, is, as I said beforehand, this is definitely a field where many battles have transpired. And closer to the city, it's mostly been picked up and cleaned so you don't necessarily have to remember that every time you step outside the city. But the further reaches as you go out there, you can actually see that there's an area where people are like picking up where bodies would have been kind of left there, and there's bits of armor on people, and like looking through junk that's there, hoping to find coin off of bodies that have many times over been looted. And they like will watch at you as you're riding by, and you're watching them, but nothing really that catches your eye. One of the things that probably jumps to the mind of both the Witchers is that this field is kind of ripe for a place where various beasts would be able to settle in and have easy pickings of those in the lands. Luckily, the rumors of the basilisk that you guys had heard beforehand seem to be old rumors. There was a basilisk at one point, but had been chased off because of the ritual that source had done before. Otherwise, this area may have been plagued as well. Maybe it's something you could have asked them about too. But moving on. When you finally get to the river, there are various peoples there too. Whether if they be collecting flowers because they work for the florist shop, or doing fishing because that's how they make their money. There are people about. You don't necessarily stop at the river for longer than to fill up your water skins and get a fresh drink of water or the like. And then you start turning back to the east. That's right, you were traveling west before, now you're traveling back to the east a little bit, back towards the mountains, figuring if there's going to be a place where you find the dwarves, it's going to be along that where you're just getting into the mountain ranges. The city was at the foothills, where the mountains had pretty much just stopped, but there was a hillocky kind of area, once again meadows. But less than a day's travel will bring you back to the base of the mountain, which is where you're kind of hoping to bump into these dwarves. So you guys are making your way over into that region, and as you're making your way over there, the trek itself is easy. You don't need survival checks or anything, but if everybody could do me a favor and roll me perception checks,
Perception.
please, and thank you.
Perception.
Inception checks.
All right.
Oh, everybody did. Cool. Thank you. Sorry, that was a very good reaction time. So, best one being Tal, followed by Bastion. Maybe Leonard is kind of in his own mind thinking about like what it was that the party had told him and the implications of the contract. Who knows? He's a little distracted. But it's actually going to be Tal that notices something first out of all of you guys. As you guys are walking along, you start to notice, Tal, that there are areas like up on rock crags, because you're used to looking up. You're trained at this from all of your time as a somebody that hunts like draconids. You're used to looking up. So as you go into areas where the rocks are not mountainous yet, but large boulders here and there, and the ground is getting much harder, you saw something kind of shiny caught your eye in the corner, and you look and it's nothing there, nothing that really. Okay, that's not significant. Then you see it again, and this is where you start to like really take it in. And at first, it was nothing that you would really bring to attention of anybody else, because it was just like, did I see something? No, I didn't. And this is where you notice that on the top of one of the rocks, there's definitely something set up there. Squinting your eyes, you almost think like there might be a person or a scout that's up there as well. And while you're kind of like taking in that sight yourself, it's actually Bastion walking along that sees that in this area you're actually one of the branches kind of cracked off to the side over there. Looks like it may have happened not too long ago. You're pretty decent at survival yourself, so because you guys aren't necessarily walking immediately adjacent to each other single file or 2x2 with the horses, you're just moving along the road, right? You kind of like ride a little bit off to the side and looking at the branch really quickly. You notice that there's like a scuff mark in the grounds there. You see tracks that clearly there are people nearby. The foot size, you think it might be dwarven. Both of you guys getting signs that you might be entering their territory.
Yeah, I try to draw attention to the rest of the party. I'm like, looks like we have company, or we will very soon.
We might be intruding.
I nod to the tracks.
I hate to say it, but I'm fairly certain someone is already watching us. I'm fairly certain I saw someone lying down up there.
Knowing the Scoia'tael, I wouldn't question it.
Do you gesture to it, or
Yeah, I'm gesturing to the tracks. Or are you asking Neil?
I was asking Neil.
Oh, my bad.
He gives a vague head nod, but it's not like he goes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right
so
there.
you're being subtle. Why don't you roll me stealth with or deception, either one, with advantage though. The DC is not too high. Okay. So
Hey, you know what you said about not needing any fucking Witcher sense?
So
I stoically
You sure about that?
on sheer principle.
are you not going to use it?
I don't think it's that important. We're gonna encounter them either way.
Sure. So you make your way, you do that gesture, and everybody else is able to make their perception check looking up in that area as well. So please feel free.
An arrow comes flying.
It's Bran in the knee.
No.
An arrow to the knee,
No.
kid.
Bastion,
Bran's lame now. We're gonna have to put him down.
Bastion, you notice it as well. You notice the thing as well. It's kind of the other two are squinting and trying to see, but unfortunately, it's literally the way that the light is kind of like reflecting in the area and whatnot. It's probably just the angle. It's ever so slightly like the glimmer from where they're sitting and how you're a little bit off to the side. There, you can see what he's referring to, but the others can't. But that's fine. So, you guys proceed forward normally, or do you do anything, behave any differently?
Act
See, it's
casual.
Yeah,
I think we continue to. I think we should continue to move. They clearly haven't attacked yet. Just stay on guard.
Cool. So
I would say, yeah, like say we're moving at like a trot before, move at a walk instead now.
okay.
I will casually like take off the like charm from my neck and like put it in my chest.
Awesome. When he takes off that charm on his neck, that actually causes you to things to start vibrating. So usually when he wears that charm, your Witcher medallions stop vibrating because it's you haven't been able to identify it yet, but it mutes him enough that unless you're like right next to him, it doesn't he doesn't vibrate too terribly much. Now that he's like within a range of you, you can feel your medallions vibrating because he took that off.
Gotcha.
But why don't you do me a favor? Just one more thing. As you guys travel, so another like 10 minutes or so pass. This is specifically Bastion and Leonard. Could you guys roll me one more investigate or perception check? Just you two.
Said investor perception.
Correct, sir. Okay. So
And Bastian doesn't know how to use his talisman.
once again, Bastion is just canon. He doesn't know the talisman. I think it's hilarious. Like that is.
Maybe he was sick one day and never figured out what it did.
Yeah, that was the
I mean,
one.
honestly, it kind of fits. It kind of fits like the backstory that I got going on a little bit.
It just makes me so like I wish like there was a way that we could kind of like mechanically make this a thing for you because it just makes me so happy. So anyways,
Always make me roll disadvantage.
Yeah, give him disadvantage on everything to do with the tower.
well
amulet.
we could actually do that and we could discuss maybe implementing my usual 5e rules afterwards. But for now, let's not worry about that. So Leonard, as you guys are traveling along, you notice that your talisman, of course, is vibrating as it has been because Bran is nearby. It's something that you've had to get used to over the course of the past however long you've been traveling together at this point. And you notice it's vibrating ever so slightly differently. There's like a bit more of a pattern to it because it's not like it just vibrates. If you actually really hone in on it and pay attention to it, you can kind of like isolate different details of the way the medallion vibrates. You know what I mean? It's like that whole holding it and thinking for a couple of seconds. So you notice that it changes ever so slightly. So I imagine you reach to it and you hold it.
Sure.
Okay, and reaching to it and concentrating on it to make sure like what it is. You notice that something about Bastion is you can notice that something is vibrating coming from Bastion's direction.
Like on his person.
Yeah, like you like feel it, and you kind of like just once again, you guys are on your horses, so it's not like you bring alarm to everything before you do it. You just like nonchalantly like kind of ride closer over to Bastion because that's where you like the medallion's leading you. And as you're like standing next to riding next to Bastion, probably his left side, you feel it vibrating stronger. Just as you might even just like kind of subtly hold it in that direction, like just take it and hold it out sideways somewhat, and you feel it vibrating more.
Okay. That's not typical.
No.
I think I'll take note of it, but I'm not going to draw a lot of attention to it.
Sure, not a problem. So
I noticed that you're moving closer, and I wink at you.
Yeah, I'm going to distance myself. I don't know what's going on. I think he's about to explode or something, so I'm just going to back away and wait for it.
Huh, that's fun. So as you guys continue to ride further into this region, again, the ground was getting rockier, it's getting harder, and the rocks around you are growing more numerous, but you're not quite at, okay, we're starting to climb the mountainside yet. It's just at the base of it. So as you're approaching this area, moving further and further, eventually you hear somebody call out. Sorry, actually, one more last time. You guys can roll me perceptions. I won't be a dick on this one. I'm going to give it to you either way, Leonard, so even if you don't roll, you're good.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So it's Bastion doesn't notice anything. He's probably like really like taking in the scene. It is beautiful over here. Like it actually is like a nice scene. Like the craggy area, the animals hopping about. It really is just kind of like a nice spot. It reminds you of a place where you used to train when you were a child, before you even started all the intense training, where you trained with like an axe and stuff like that during the earlier parts of your training, because you train with many weapons. So Bran and Tal, so Bran specifically, you notice that this region is definitely a spot where a good ambush can happen. And so if you have any spells or whatever you feel like throwing up on yourself, you probably would do so at this point.
Mage armor.
Okay, so you just kind of like as you walk into this area, like this is a really good ambush spot, and you throw up a mage armor on yourself, just kind of getting yourself prepared. Like as he throws up that mage armor, Tal, something was like nagging you. You're looking to the left and to the right, and you're like, No, I feel eyes on me. Like I feel like there is something prowling about or soaring. Just like sometimes when you would travel and hunt dragons before, if there was like a heavy overcast, you can like feel them circling overhead, even if their wings weren't beating, so you couldn't hear them. You having those like hairs on the back of your neck standing up. And Leonard, you swear you heard it wasn't a rock shifting. You swear it was a boot on the ground shift. You guys know that something's about to happen, and so I will allow you to say or do something very simple quickly before I act. Everybody but Bastion. Leonard, sorry, Bran already mage armored.
I think I'll dive off my horse.
Sure. Just do like a quick tumble off your horse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, your character is very nimble. It's not like you have to make any checks or anything like that. You just, you step off your horse with like a speed and grace that probably catches the other three off guard for a moment. Having never seen you do this before. What do you do, Tal?
So I think Tal would do the same. So he'd hop off the horse and slap it on the bum so it like runs to the edge of because I kind of imagine we're in a sort of clearing-y.
Yep. So
Nice.
we're gonna do it like this. Tal like takes his feet out of the stirrups, like kind of puts his hands between his legs and hops backwards and gives a hard slap to the horse's ass. Roll me an animal handling check really quickly. You like literally, Leonard, roll off the side of your horse and maybe keep your back against it, not fully like putting your weight on it, but your back against it because you think the attacks might be coming from the side that the horse is now between you and it. So you almost like using the horse as cover. With a DC 20 animal handling, that horse is in no danger whatsoever. It goes running off easily to the side. You know what I mean? You'll be able to recover it. I'm not even going to make you roll for that
Doesn't
later
mow
on.
down 3 Scoia'tael on the way.
No, nothing like that. So literally, as you're triggering the horse, I imagine Scoia'tael step out from behind cover. And I say Scoia'tael because they're dwarves. All dwarves. Step out from behind cover. There's 3 of them behind you, 2 of them in front of you. The 2 that are in front actually have to like peel back for a second as the horse goes charging between them. So they would roll initiative with disadvantage if initiative's about to happen. Which, guess what? It is.
Oh my god.
That doesn't
Oh
necessarily.
man.
That doesn't necessarily mean combat, but you definitely have to roll it.
I'm just sitting on my horse looking.
Oh, I bounced off the edge of the thing.
Kaboom!
Goddamn ceiling of this Witcher roll 20 page.
Oops, I didn't actually click on myself.
So
That's alright. You guys have to decide what we're doing.
I'm going to do 2 groups of dwarves. One is going to be the ones in front that are rolling with disadvantage. Oops, I did that wrong. Sorry.
Front seas and back seas.
Oh, actually, apparently that's how this to go. That's annoying. And one's going to be the
Oh,
regular
man.
initiative roll.
Don't I give it my original roll? I
Okay.
hope. Do I keep the one or do I?
Oh my god,
roll
man,
the,
what the
that I
hell?
got?
That's 3 ones in 4 rolls.
Yeah, I'm not doing great today.
I'm sorry, my churn order is acting funny. Give me 1 second. I'm going to have to control something.
Good, he won't notice. Quick, switch it.
There we go.
Wait, but
No, you're good. You're
yeah.
good. Okay, so
okay.
reminder of one of my homebrew rules when it comes to initiatives is if you roll natural 20, you get an additional action the first round. If you roll natural 1, you actually lose your action. You only have your bonus and move.
Yeah, but
Yep.
he rolled a 15 first.
Yeah, do I give myself the 15 or do I keep the 1?
I'm sorry, I didn't see that you rolled twice. I'll adjust it to the 15 for you, sir.
Okay.
There you go.
Uh,
You
it's
lucky
the-
son of a bitch.
It's the first roll. You know, you just made a
Yeah.
mistake. You clicked twice. Let me fix you here. Okay, so that actually means that, technically speaking, the ones that have the 11 on initiative tracker, so it's 18, 17, dwarf with 16, 15, dwarf with 11, and 8. The ones that kind of got jumped to the side, the ones in front of you are the 11. So, Leonard, all of a sudden you see 2 dwarves come forward, jump to the side, 3 appear from behind you, and they all have weapons at the ready. Every one of them has spears, like, ready to grab, like, behind them, and they have crossbows in their hands. So they're actually all armed well enough. It's your turn. You get to go first. You don't necessarily have to fight, remember. That's up to you.
So it's dwarves that are they're charging us from somewhere.
Not charging, just step around from behind cover. to reveal themselves, and they clearly have their weapons at the ready and look like they're about to fight.
All right. Well, I'll probably just step out from behind the horse I'm hiding behind, and I'll have my hand on my hilt, and my hand out like ready to cast a sign, but I'm not going to do anything.
Okay. So you hold your turn.
Yeah.
Okay. Just because the way turn holds work, you technically have to have a trigger to take an action later on. What would your trigger be? Say if they attack.
Probably, yeah.
Okay, and if they attack, do you have? Are you going to be defensive or offensive? That's all I need.
Do I see what weapons they're holding?
Yep, they're currently all 5 of them are currently holding crossbows, and they all definitely have spears nearby.
Then defensive.
Okay, like spears in their back. So you're gonna be defensive. Okay.
Yes.
I don't, Neil. I know you're used to otherwise. I don't require you to be very specific in what you're doing. Just give me a trigger. Give me offensive, defensive, or spell. All right, moving on. The next one is going to be Bran. Bran, 2 stepped out, jumped to the side because of the horse that ran off, but they're still there, and is 3 behind. As for how you guys are kind of like riding forward and situated, I imagine that the person that was riding most in the front was actually Bastion, followed by, what's his name? Tal, that was more or less next to him, because you had to narrow it up a bit as you came through area where the rocks are closer together. Behind that would have been... what's his name? Bran, never allowing himself to be fully in the rear. He's kind of a cowardly like that. And then Leonard in the back, allowing him to like sneak off if he needs to, or so on and so forth.
Keep an eye on me as well.
So Bran is between you and them. He stands to reveal himself completely, hand at the hip, but doesn't say or do anything. What do you do?
I just raise my hands in the air and say, "Easy, friends. We mean you no harm." And I ready in action that if they attack us, I will misty step to the top of the rocks.
So funny thing, as you raise your hands... Oh, no, never mind. No, you don't. So you say that. You can actually roll me a persuasion. We have to roll a disadvantage because you're a human.
Ha!
So, are you happy with your 14, or are you going to add a Witcher?
Adding a Witcher would secure our chances of not getting murdered here, probably. Fuck it, we'll go for it. We have
No, you got
13.
a million of them, right?
Okay.
What is it with 3s all the time?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I muted that for you guys on the call, but not for the listeners.
Not for chat.
That's funny. I usually do it the other way around. So anyways, all right, so you guys are, so you throw your hands up and you say that, and something about the way you say it, something about it, so on and so forth, maybe even the fact that you kind of have a puppy dog look to your eyes. You look like somebody who's like seen a hassle. Your clothing, because you don't have mending as a spell, do you?
I do.
Oh, you do? Oh, never mind. So I was going to say your clothes are
Yeah.
tattered and whatnot from the various combats you've been in, but no, you're actually in pristine condition. So, but something about you just kind of like stands out to them. You actually seem like somebody that's genuinely, honestly pleading, like, we're not here for harm. Please, let's just talk. And so,
Really that beta energy.
because you speak to them that way, the dwarves actually hold up that first group, the 3 that are behind, the one that's like near you and Messy. They'll actually take a couple of steps forward and fan out and don't immediately attack or anything like that. They fan out a bit and say, one of them says, and this is actually a female dwarf. She says, "What you on about then?"
Bastion seducer.
She says to you, Bran, "What you on about then?"
Well, we were just traveling these woods, and these here witchers, you know, they take an interest in beasts and whatnot.
One of them does say, this is a male dwarf. He goes, "They are witches, aren't they?" He says, like looking at, because he's closest to Messy, looking at his eyes. Oh, Forak. Looking into his face and seeing his eyes and his posture, seeing the medallion hanging from his neck. You say, "I."
2 of them.
They look about, and he's like, "But not friends, they're not." And he says, and this is when he gestures over to Bastion, and Bastion, who is not taking action yet. Bastion's kind of like still sitting up on his horse. He gestures over to Bastion. Everybody's eyes go towards Bastion, and Bastion's kind of like, "What?" And and when he does that, you actually see on the back of his right hands, there is a mark that's glowing now kind of brightly
Oops.
about there. He's like, not friends then, are they? Gestures that and everybody sees it.
Can I Arcana that?
So you can actually. Go ahead.
Actually,
Oh, you
it
roll with
accidentally
disadvantage.
rolled with disadvantage.
Oh, you have to re-roll without
That's a
disadvantage.
nat 20.
You have to re-roll without disadvantage.
Oh, that's
Ah,
We always make you re-roll.
god damn
It's
it.
false pretenses rule. Well, and I
Yeah.
agreed on. That's not bad. So, you happy with that? You want to add a Witcher sense?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Wait for the nat 20 though.
I'll eventually have to stop asking that. So you you looking at it and you can tell by the mark it's clearly meant to be a brand of warning. The finer details of the mark you're not very familiar with. You know that it wasn't visible before and that it is now. So you don't know if it's proximity of location, proximity of people. You don't know what the trigger was. But there's definitely a mark of warning on the back of his hand. And so you see that.
Yeah.
Do you say anything, Bran?
If it's the mark on his hand you're referring to, this is the first time I'm made aware of it. Would have liked to know that beforehand, I'll be honest.
That was more or less a toss over to you there, Bastion.
Wait, I have a warning on my hand?
Correct.
Yeah.
I was not aware of it. Uh, I assure you, we are friends. I mean no harm.
When you
I'll toss my great sword off to the side, onto the ground.
when you told me about the Melvin story, did you tell me he was a mage?
Melvoon.
Yeah,
Melvin.
Melvin.
I would have mentioned it to you. Because
Okay.
I literally said he was the first friendly mage that I've seen in a while.
Looks like
I've been on the ground.
looks like Melvoon turned you in after all.
When you say that
Oh.
name, one of the other ladies step up, and she's like, "What's that name you said?"
Melvoon.
Melvoon,
I spoke
not
with him.
Yeah, not Melvin.
This is one of the ones that would have been in the front that kind of jumped to the side of the horse. So she's like regaining her footing. She's like, "You spoke to Melvoon."
I did.
Yes, I did too. I was there.
She calls the others and says, "Hold up. We're not supposed to kill these ones." And somebody else, the one that was like that had said something before and gestures the hand. He's like, "Why not?" And she's like, "We were told of these ones. We're not supposed to kill them. We're supposed to bring them in to speak to. I'd rather kill them now and have it done." No. We were giving explicit orders from Zadal that we are not supposed to kill them. They might not be foes. He said there would be a source traveling with them, and he says that there would be a mage traveling with them. Is actually what she says. There'd be a mage traveling with them. Are one of you a mage? She says.
I raised
nobody's
one of
lowered
my
their
two
weapons.
hands even further. It's like, correct.
He says, "All the more reason to kill him." And she's like, "Would you shut up for a second? It's not all about proving your anger. You're not the only one that lost a child in this." And she goes over to you, and she actually does lower her crossbow, so it's not pointed at you as she walks up to you, Bran. Which, because she was in the front and you're in the second to last, she has to walk past everybody else as she goes, and everybody can kind of take a sight as to what she looks like. She looks rather young for a dwarf, especially for one that'd be giving commands to others. And she's walking past you guys, and you can see there's a bit of like a litheness to her. She's light on her feet. So she makes her way over to you, Brad, and she's like, "Don't give me a reason to kill you now, friend. Prove it."
Alright, I will cast Mage Hand. And I will, wave at her.
So your mage hand almost has like a ghostly image. So the hand kind of appears and waves back and forth or whatever at it, almost like an emote in what's that game called? Fortnite or something like that. And so yeah, fork knife. So she sees that happening and she's like, "Then it's settled. We are not to harm them. They are only supposed to be brought back to the camp." "To the camp? Is there something wrong with you? We shouldn't be bringing them there. They could be bringing harm to us." She's like, "They are witchers, and there is a source here, and Malvoon has said this is what we should do. Malvuna suggested it. Let's go. You're lucky who you are, young lass. Otherwise I would be... And he starts like cursing off in Dwarven and whatnot a little bit. And he seems like really, really pissed off. As he starts grumbling and moving his way forward, he slows down. He's like glares at each one of you. Whether or not you react is up to you. But then when he gets near to the front and he sees Tal, he slows down, stops, turns, and then lines the crossbow up with Tal's face. Anybody say anything before I continue on?
I'm gonna hop down. And
I imagine Tal would have a few choice
I was
words
so-
about this.
I
I'm
was
picking
gonna
my
say
weapons back up. I probably wouldn't have even noticed because I had hopped down.
So
Tal
Tal?
will.
there he goes.
Tal looks him in the eye.
So before Tal responds, because nobody else did. My apologies. Sorry, Neil. He says, "This one ain't a whip mage, is he? I think we can spare one." And you can see like his finger like moves off to where it's like safely to the side, like 2 fingers I should say, 'cause it's a crossbow. Moves off to where it's safely to the side and wraps around where the trigger is for it. And you can see like a gleam in his eye. Clearly, there's a bit of a bloodthirst to him. His lip starts to curl up slightly on one side. Go ahead, Tal. You were gonna say.
You know, I never thought you guys were beasts, but maybe you want to prove me wrong. Prove everyone here wrong. Show them that you don't have any control. Just another dog.
You can actually roll persuasion or intimidation with that one, either one. But, you get to have an advantage on it.
Can I just say,
Oh
I
God!
dodged the one.
I'm not sure if this is good or bad because you're trying to get him to shoot you.
oh my god.
Oh, that is hilarious.
God, wow.
So, when you say those words to him, he's actually going to pull the trigger to fire at you. But as he pulls the trigger to fire at you, at the same exact time, or even like less than a second beforehand, another trigger is pulled as well. Now, I have to actually make a check to see if this plays out the way I want it to, because...
It's fine if it doesn't. It's fine if it doesn't. It's trust. Trust. Tal's got this. It's well in hand.
Okay, so the other one does. So what ends up happening is at the same exact time that you hear that trigger pull and you can see like he's going to pull the trigger, you hear the trigger go off. But what happens is she ends up pulling her trigger, piercing the guy in his calf. He actually ends up like falling and almost firing upwards. To avoid this attack against you, I'm actually going to allow you, Tal, to make a dexterity save to like kind of like flinch out of the way.
So, can I?
And I don't mean like a bitchy like fall off the horse. I mean because you're actually off your horse anyways.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like flinch out of the way.
Can I use deflect missiles instead?
Yes, you absolutely effing can. You roll, sir.
So the damage you take is reduced by 1d10 plus your dex plus your monk modifier.
Is monk modifier actually applied to that?
Monk level.
Monk level is applied to that? Cool. I don't remember because Eric hasn't used that in my Eberron game in
1d10.
real life
plus,
6 months.
What is it? Plus 4 and what is? Oh, plus 4.
Russian dwarves.
I know. Terrible, aren't they? So the damage is reduced by 14, and if it is reduced to 0, I can catch it.
So instead of looking at flinching, which maybe was a bit more bitchy than you were hoping to look like, the shot does go off. Whether or not it would have been an actual hit is for debate because he did flinch as he took the shot in his calf and then fired at you. But you actually are able to reach out and snatch the arrow out of the air. I will allow only one person to make this check. Messy, you can actually make me a perception check.
Let's see if I see it.
No. I just want for a finer detail.
To see the guy's face.
So you missed the finer detail. That's fine. So you reach out. It's one of those like as he takes the shot, you reach up and you snatch and grab that arrow out of the air. Again, because you don't just like stop exactly where it's going to hit you. It's kind of like a and you pull it to the side because you have to break momentum and whatnot too. It's a debate as to whether that would have hit you, but the attack does no damage to you whatsoever. And as he takes the arrow in his calf, he's like, "Oh, what the fuck is that wrong with you?" And he starts like going off and swearing in Dwarven, like swearing her up and down. And at one point in time, like others is kind of like, "Oh, okay, you know." At one point in time, you can actually see he says something. If any of you guys speak Dwarven, he says just a very ungentlemanly phrase to her, and one of the other dwarves will actually go over and like shove him. So he like takes a couple steps back, and his back smacks against one of the boulders that are nearby, and he just gives him like a look and points at him like one step too far without saying anything. And after that kind of like plays out for a couple of seconds, and she's just watching at him, not like smirking, not like enjoying it by any means, but certainly to a degree of menacing, like looking at him like you just better fucking stop. And it's like, because she's not like giving any commands, it's almost antagonizing because of his persona. For other people, they would get the point. And after like that person shoves him and he swears a couple more times, he starts to walk off. He's trying not to limp, but he can't help it. He can't help but limp, as he still has a crossbow bolt in his calf as he's like limping off, cursing a bunch more in Dwarven. The whole thing plays out over the course of like 5 seconds or so, with all of you guys watching like this is ridiculous. And then eventually she turns to you, to the group of you. She clears her throat for a second, kind of like bringing your attention back, and says, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that. He's got a bit of anger in his heart."
I think we can all understand that you've lost people.
It still doesn't justify trying to kill us, but
It's been a rough go of it. Let's just leave it at that. I don't expect your forgiveness, just for you to deal with it. Now, I will bring you to the camp, and you may discuss things with the clan leader. But for you to do so, you must forfeit your weapons.
Of course.
Of course.
I know you're never without weapon, she says, turning her attention fully to Bran, who she was standing next to beforehand. And she's removed the crossbow bolt from her crossbow and released the just kind of like throwing over her shoulder. She's doing this. She goes, "I know you're never without your weapons, but I trust that you will respect our
we can
people."
always shackle him. No, I can.
Of course.
She nods and says, "Very well then, please come with me. You may ride your horses, of course." A horse, of course.
My companion has actually sent his horse off. Could we have a moment to collect it, please?
She nods and then looks to Tal, and realizing that the companion that did it was Tal, she looks to another and kind of like nods for that person to follow. That person who was in the middle of like releasing their crossbow bolt and everything actually puts the crossbow bolt back into the slot, and follows after Tal as he goes to collect his horse. The horse didn't go far. It takes you like less than 2 minutes to go and collect it, and to bring it back, maybe giving it like a little treat or whatever it is that you would do, and to bring it back. Do you say anything to the dwarf that follows behind you by about 50 feet or so, or do you just ignore it as you go to collect your horse?
As he goes past that guy who's just put the bolt back in, he's gonna hand him that crossbow bolt. He's gone. There you go. Think this is yours?
He looks at that, at the crossbow bolt in your hand, and looks at it for a couple of seconds. His eyes seem to narrow at the boat, and he's like staring at it for a few more seconds. Like while you're still holding it out, he like takes like almost a step sideways. His head like cocks aside as he examines it a little bit further, and you can hear him say a cuss in Dwarven, and he like under his breath, and then he takes the bolt from your hand and just kind of like nudges, like gestures for you to move on. Like I said, he follows after you.
That was a weird reaction.
Yep.
Can I insight him?
Yeah, absolutely, you can.
Tal literally just squints back at him. It's like he squints at the crossbow bolt, and he's like, "That's weird." But I'm rolling really badly, so never mind that one.
Yeah, you don't get anything off him other than what your real life. So you push on.
Other than real life.
Yeah, whatever you got. As he goes to get his horse, she just starts giving orders to them in Dwarven. Now, does anybody here speak Dwarven?
I do not.
Okay. So
Dead language.
She starts.
Now, is Dwarven separate
or is it just a dialect of the Elder speech?
It's like all of the languages that exist in this world. It is its own dialect. So it's one of those things where because Bran speaks Elder speech, he would understand bits of words here and there because he was born naturally knowing how to speak Elder, which is weird, kind of like a parcel mouth or something. So you pick up bits here and there of these like bastardized words, but no, it's not its own unique language. Beyond that.
Cool.
So moving on, you are able to. So she just kind of gives orders to them for what to do, and then she actually hands. You can tell, like based off of like just inciting what's happening. She usually hands responsibility over to one of the others. And so, as I said, 5 approached you. One of them hobbled off. 3 of them are going to guide you guys back to the camp, not including her, and her and one of the other men are actually going to go in separate directions away from where you are. And you guys kind of pick up that maybe these were the scouts that were watching you the whole while. And eventually they lead you back to the camp. So the camp that they lead you to is kind of you guys, whatever your opinions might be, there is a small sympathy for the Scoia'tael, for the quality of life that they're forced to live. Some of them are able to kind of carve out halfway comfortable livings. But what you end up finding is these dwarves are literally living inside of a cave, which is like, so as you go walking to where they are, you walk past another 2 scouts, and then you walk into a cave entrance where there's a dwarf that's standing there, and he's actually got a pretty good axe. It's actually looking at it, looks like it's fairly well-crafted axe. Who would be able to do this out of all of you? Definitely not Bran. I would say Bastion. I would say Bastion or what's your name there? You 3 can roll for this, and I'm actually going to give advantage to Tal.
Roll for what?
History check, please.
It was you 3.
Definitely not Bran. You 3.
Anyone but Bran. Okay. Why rolling advantage? Are we rolling advantage?
No, only him.
Okay.
So it's actually Leonard that notices the craftsmanship of that axe and kind of like the shape to it and everything, because the amount of time that you had spent in that shop, you actually think this axe may have come from the same smith whose shop you just burned down.
Hey, it's his brother.
So you guys go making your way into the camp. Now, when you get inside there, it's an easily defendable spot. You can immediately tell that as you walk in for anybody who has a mind for such things. However, how densely populated it is, it's ridiculous. This cave is not very large. It's not very large at all. It would be a great spot for the 4 of you guys to set up a comfortable camp, set your tents about, even have a little bit of a fire in there, and so on. The ceilings are a bit high, which is nice, but it's not very deep and it's not very wide. So when you go walking in, and just like a quick estimate from what you see in there currently, there's about 24 people, and then the guess of the number of scouts and whatnot that are around, maybe there's like 24 people that live in this place that could comfortably sit like 6-ish. It's like very, very tight. So you're actually stepping over people and around people as you're going in. In the back area of the cave, there is a spot where there was like naturally formed a smaller room came off of this cave, though probably the tunnel to get into it was too small for even a dwarf to fit through beforehand. There's clear chisel marks where they broke up the stone, so you guys can more comfortably walk in there. Anybody who's particularly tall, maybe Bastion and Tal, you guys have to duck pretty low to get through, but the cave on the other side is again decent sized. The other 2 just duck slightly to get in. Once you go into that back area, you can actually see that there is a dwarf that's sitting there. This dwarf is much older. Clearly has a full head of gray hair. A little bit of the gray is part of the hair is a little darker, like hasn't fully grayed yet, but otherwise like all gray hair. His beard is about half gray. He's adorned with actual like bits of armor and whatnot on him, and you can just tell by the way that he wears his clothing and the like that he is clearly the leader amongst these dwarves here. And so as you guys come walking in, he looks to the group of you and nods and says, "Well, I finally get to meet you then. I heard about you a couple days ago. Before I introduce myself, do I have to have any of you locked up, or are you willing to behave?
Well,
We will
unless
behave.
Brand here summons another demon, we should be okay.
We will comply. I nudge Leonard because he probably shouldn't mention that.
Tal?
Tal doesn't say anything, but he doesn't make any movement. He's clearly uncomfortable in the setting.
Okay. And so as you guys go to sit down and have a conversation with him, unfortunately, it is 1 p.m. and so we need to pull this stream to an end.
Scott, it's 6 p.m.
No, in real time.
Yeah.
The only thing that
here.
matters.
Oh, I see how it is.
Well, I mean,
Wow.
international trade is based off of what? New York's time zone and Beijing's time zone, right? Or Hong Kong's time zone, right? So those are the only real important ones.
It's based off UTC,
Yeah. So
Universal Time.
So as much as I was really looking forward to this bit of RP and what's going to happen next, unfortunately we have to pull it a quit here. I'll stop here. So why don't you guys go about and tell us how we can find you and who you are, and we'll start off with you, Bastion, since there is a storm coming through your neighborhood. In case we never see you again.
Yeah, you can find me at Dunspace, twitch.tv/Dunspace, twitter.com/Dunspace, youtube.com/Dunspace, unless I die in the hurricane tomorrow, which is actually on my birthday as well. So
Happy birthday
that's
to you
my
tomorrow.
birthday.
In which case, you can find him all over the state.
Yeah, exactly. But I contributed to a thing that Messi is probably going to.
Oh God,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Messi, why don't you talk about that then?
Do
Andy,
you guys
so-
like it? Out of curiosity.
What?
Was
Yeah,
it good?
I quite enjoyed it on. So I listened to it once, then Scott
Okay.
suggested adjust the speed. So I listened to it at 1.25, and I quite liked it a little bit sped up.
So
Oh, really?
in the chorus, I liked it at 1.25. In the verses, I liked it at 1.5 because the
Wow.
beat actually holds well, and your enunciation actually holds well. So when you
Slur.
speed it up, huh?
I was trying to slur like Lil Pump. Yeah, so I'm
No, but,
Messi
but
Cat.
you as a person just speak well. So your
What's wrong?
enunciation's good enough that even at higher speeds,
Dude,
it's good.
Do you have
diction.
any idea how hard it is to say Squirtle Gang 4 times in a row?
Squirtle gang, squirtle gang,
So
squirtle gang,
hard.
squirtle gang.
You just said it once and edited it together.
No, it sounds like shit if you do that. You got to do it
That's-
in one take. You got to do that whole chorus in one take,
Yeah.
or else it sounds so fucking fake.
Yep.
Anyway, speaking of that, you can find me at youtube.com/messycat, and there you'll find a 100 emoji video called Squirtle Gang. It's a parody of Gucci Gang.
Sure, I'll link it for you in
Thank
chat.
you, thank you.
Yeah, you can link it for me. That'd be fantastic. I spent probably 10 hours close to recording and editing it. Writing it, recording, and editing it probably took close to 10 hours.
Solidly, all in one sitting. 10
Yeah,
hours, no eating, no drinking.
I did it in 4 hours. I went from midnight to 4 a.m. and then I came back and I went from probably like noon to 5, so maybe 9 hours. And I fixed it up yesterday. But yeah, it's awful. Go give that a listen. And also you can find me at Twitch at twitch.tv/messy_cat. So no underscore on YouTube, underscore on Twitch. Go watch that video and let me know how much you want to die. Thank you.
Awesome. And Brand, who are you? Derp. Hope I'm not doing
Hi,
this
my
so
name
bad.
is Rick. I do things on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. You can find me there at Derp, as Derp Digital, all the places. Unified branding is glorious. Videos are currently like in a limbo state where I recently started antidepressants a couple of days ago, so my body's been a little weird. So that's been fun. I'm trying to write that out. A lot of stuff happening in life. So who knows? I'll probably stream again at some point. I'm gonna try to get that back on track as soon as I settle down a little bit from all the things. And yeah, Twitter for like updates about hiccups and stuff, which have been horrible the past day. My whole neck here is sore because of it.
Oh,
I don't recommend it.
I opened the link by accident. That's funny. Let's not do that. So I'm sorry. So you had hurt your neck doing it, you had just said?
Yeah, like I spent like a good 6 or 7 hours of yesterday and today
doing
just
this.
hiccuping.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I said this right before the stream too. I'm one of those people, if I get hiccups in the morning, guaranteed minimum 3 times that day I'm gonna have hiccups. So it just sucks.
It's never happened before like this, and I've used all like the usual remedies to get rid of it. It just came back later.
So,
With a vengeance, holy crap.
I remember researching this before because some people get like lots of hiccups and whatnot. Like, there's that guy that permanently has hiccups because of brain damage he had or something before.
Oh my god, that sounds horrific.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
horrible. But so it's actually like a genetic thing as to people if they have big hiccups or little hiccups. It's not just like the situation, or if they last for long periods of time or short periods of time. I mean, it's one of those like weird things that some people are just affected differently from others. It's so weird, but
It's so weird. It's like the first time something like this has ever happened. Like, just like a day full of hiccups.
oh, okay. Well, good for you for only one day, first time ever. Hopefully, you didn't have like some sort of genetic awakening because genes shift throughout your life. You know, like growing allergies. You know, hiccup man.
Awakening.
Yeah.
It
I-
was
I forget
quite
the
funny
phrasing,
to
but-
go from, oh, I don't have hiccups anymore, to like, oh, my hiccups are back in the middle of a stream and then having to read a bunch of stuff out.
Yep.
Oh no.
That's rough. Could be worse. You could be Mathis and just belch all the time on stream. So, Neil, who are you? How can we find you?
Hi, I'm Neil. I'm not a streamer. I just like playing D&D with people like this. You can find me on some streams on twitch.tv/Ollyran and find me on the False Pretenses Discord, which you should join if you haven't already. And you can also find me on Twitter at Nakai_Arden at 6 p.m. tonight is cancelled, unfortunately, because...
Is it officially? Okay, I was just messaging.
He tweeted it.
Oh, I'm live. I didn't see it. Okay.
No. Yeah, that's fine. Is unfortunately cancelled tonight because Ollie Boo Boo is unwell and someone else is unwell. So me and Scott are gonna do Twitch inappropriate things on stream.
Oh, that actually sounds like fun. I'll totally do that. So, I actually have no idea what I'm going to do, but I'm definitely going to be doing something for that next time slot. So first I got to chat with some people about things, and I'll totally go live again. But moving on. Hi, I'm Daelric. You've already found me. If you're here, I have a whole bunch of things going on. I actually have a really cool secret thing coming up in a couple weeks that I am not allowed to talk about because I was told by email I'm not allowed to talk about yet. But a nifty thing coming up in a couple weeks. One of the things I want to point out about something I'm doing slightly differently is I'm actually going to have like a bit goal going each month because very often people are very generous and do big bit drops, little bit drops here and there. So the way the bit goal works, and I'm trying to make sure I phrase this or do this in a way that isn't considered illegal. So I think I phrased when I said this beforehand, when the bit goal is met, I think I said anybody that puts at least one bit into the goal is eligible to win. I don't think I'm allowed to do that because I think that's technically considered a sweepstakes and so therefore illegal because I live in Massachusetts. So I think it's just one of those, anybody who happens to be either a follower or a subscriber, wherever the legal lines are, I'll figure it out, is going to be given a triumph that they can actually hand out to the game of their choice when they like. So during the next month. So let's say we hit the bit goal in September, sometime during the month of October in a game of your choice, somebody will be awarded, a random person, would be awarded a triumph that they can use into that game to positively impact it. So that should be fun for the PC, should be fun for the viewers, and it's my little way of saying thank you for all the donations and everything that everybody does. All right, enough of that. I guess we're not playing Ardent, so I'm going to figure something out. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye,
Okay.
guys.
Triumph for brand redemption.